Hey everyone, Leslie from WeLoveJones, and I'm coming to you today with hopefully a short, although this could get long, review of Wonder Woman, the movie that just came out this weekend. I saw it yesterday on June 3rd, came out on June 2nd, and I thought it would be useful to get the perspective of a mom. Though I don't have older children, and the movie is rated PG-13, I thought it would be useful to kind of put on my thoughts as a mom. So, side note, warnings. I am going to give some spoilers in this review. I'm assuming that most of my audience are moms that are not nerdy folk like me that care about the movie being spoiled to them before they go see it. So if you do care about spoilers and you want to go into this movie not knowing a thing about where they took the character because you have a pre-existing relationship with this character of Wonder Woman, you don't want to listen to this review because I'm going to give not a lot but just a few spoilers because you kind of need to be able to give an honest review. Second, I'm reviewing this from the perspective of a Christian mom, and I'm going to be answering a really important question. Should you, as a Christian mother, or as a person of any faith, whether you're Muslim or obviously I'm coming at this from the Christian worldview, but if you're Muslim or Buddhist or whatever, should you take your child to go see this movie? So I'm very much taking a mom perspective, a Christian mom perspective, and so I'm going to just jump right in and give you I'm going to give you some basics up front, and then I'll flesh everything out in greater detail later. So, in my opinion, do I think it is safe to take a child to this movie? Some PG-13 movies aren't. I will say this. I do think that it's safe. You could even push that rating. I think it's safe to take a child even as young as 10 or 11 years old to this movie. I think the movie is extremely well made. I think that the direction was really good. The plot was very well fleshed out. If you know anything about comic book movies, or your children do, you may not know. I don't know, but the Marvel movies are under the Disney umbrella, and those PG-13 movies are pretty safe. The violence is not gory. The tone of them is a little bit more light and happy. Even the color palette that they use for the Marvel movies. And I'm talking, so if you don't know what Marvel is, that would be like Iron Man, Captain America, the Avengers movies, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are all under Disney, under Marvel Disney Studios. Wonder Woman is a DC character. So Marvel is one comics book company under Disney. DC Comics is under Warner Brothers. So it's totally different people making these movies. And the DC movies up until now have been much darker in tone. So that would be the Man of Steel movie, Batman vs. Superman, and Suicide Squad are the recent ones that they have released. And those are not, well, Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel are okay, I guess, but Suicide Squad is not. It's too dark, inappropriate for I think it had a PG-13 rating, but anyway. So I had some concerns about Wonder Woman. Are they going to stick to that dark, gritty tone? I knew going into this movie that the movie was set in World War I, and a war film can be pretty gory, and so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come on here and put a review up. The movie's kind of set up this way. Diana, the Wonder Woman, is the character that your child will be able to relate to, because she's got the maturity level, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but she has been protected on Paradise Island from just the nitty-gritty world, the realities of man's world. And so when she leaves Paradise Island, it's called Themyscira, so I'll refer to it as Themyscira from now on. When she leaves Themyscira, and she's never seen a baby before, she's never seen a man before, and your child will be able to very easily identify, whether your child's a boy or girl, will be able to identify with Diana in that respect. And her hero's journey is what your child will enjoy, whether it's a boy or a girl. I want to address, if you have this movie, if you have sons, I do not think that this movie will hurt your sons. I know some people are worried that this promotes feminism in such a way where it beats on the male species, and it does not. It does not trash men. It does promote the strengths of women and some of the frailties of men, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it, and it's not done in a careless way. It's done in a way really more to show the flaws of the human race, not so much the differences between man and a woman. The differences between man and a woman are discussed, which can be biblical if you have a healthy discussion about this with your child. But men do play a vital role in the movie. I mean, it's World War I. There's men everywhere. So it's not so... There's a lot of women in the movie at the beginning because the movie opens in Themyscira. But once Diana leaves the island, you see there's a lot more men at play. I liked... one of the reasons that this movie is so well done is they did a good job of making a villain that is worthy of Diana. One of my complaints about Marvel movies has been that the bad guys are usually not that big of a threat. They kind of changed that a little bit recently, but the stakes weren't always as high, so the hero didn't... well, I won't go into that because it's too much of a tangent, but if you didn't know, the movie is 141 minutes long. I'm looking over at my notes. And it's directed by a woman named Patty Jenkins, so you're going to hear her name a lot. Patty Jenkins is a director. She's done other great stuff. And the stars of the movie are Gal Gadot, who plays Wonder Woman, and she happens to be of Israeli nationality. Chris Pine, Connie Nielsen, who plays Hippolyta, Wonder Woman's mother. Robin Wright, who plays Antiope. I don't know how you would say her name. I'm going to say it Antiope. Phenomenal actresses. I wish the movie spent more time in Themyscira because it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. I don't know where they filmed it, but I want to live there. I want to live there. It's so beautiful. Lucy Davis plays Etta Candy. Wonderful comedic timing. Danny Houston plays a bad guy that's kind of like a pawn in the movie, and Danny Houston is such a fantastic actor. He's a character actor, and he does his job well in this movie. David Thewlis, and this might be a spoiler to you if you know nothing about this movie. David Thewlis. Your children will recognize David from the Harry Potter movies because he was in several of them. David Thewlis plays Ares, the main villain. And Elaine, so don't tell your children that if they don't know this going in, because if you tell them that's Ares, it'll reveal a crucial plot point for the end of the movie. And I'm sure your children would like to be surprised. Elena Anaya plays the Dr. Moreau. I'm going to pronounce it Moreau, who is Dr. Poison. She's basically in the context of this movie. You got to remember this is a comic book movie. She's the one that basically creates mustard gas. She is the mastermind behind it. If you are a homeschooler or in any way doing a World War I unit study, this movie might be a fun kind of thing to throw in there because you see a lot of World War I. And I forget who Eugene Braverock plays an Native American character, Saeed. I'm gonna butcher his name, Saeed Tagmawi. This actor, every time I see him in something, I just think, yay, brown man on screen. I don't know what nationality he is. I just know he's a great actor, and I wish he got more work because he's fantastic in this movie. He plays Sammy. If you don't know who I'm talking about, and you've seen him in movies before, he's been in so many things, but he always plays a tertiary character, and just like he does in this movie, but he always does it so well. And Ewan Bremer, he's the guy who plays the Scottish man with a thick accent, if you're curious who that is. And I went through the cast because this movie is very diverse. And it doesn't beat you over the head with the diversity, but it is a very diverse movie. So if you happen to be a family of color, you will enjoy that there are people of color on Themyscira. Not a crazy amount, but they're there. Artemis is played by a black woman. I don't think she has a speaking line, but she's there. Like if you look up the cast, she's playing Artemis, so you know she's going to come back in another movie. She's Artemis. It's well casted. I guess this isn't super relevant, but Gal Gadot, the actress, she used to be a model, but she also used to serve, because in Israel it's mandatory, in the Israeli army. I think 2 years is mandatory there. She has a physicality to her that makes you believe she's Wonder Woman, but because she's a model, that's what she did professionally before she crossed over into acting. There are some times where she doesn't emote her face. And when she had a brief role in Batman vs. Superman, and she did a wonderful job emoting in her face, I thought she's going to nail it in this movie. And there were a couple times where I thought, don't Vogue. This isn't a photo shoot. You're filming a movie. Contort your face. Now, when she has fight scenes, she contorts her face, and she's not voguing. She's emoting. But in some of the scenes where she's acting, she kind of reverts to a kind of a voguey kind of look to her face. You can't be stoic. However, I think her newness to acting worked in the role because Diana was so sheltered that Diana's naivete, when I say Diana, I'm talking about Wonder Woman, is very naive a character, and her maturity level has been held back. And I think some of her inexperience as an actress actually served her in this role because it was believable. So it just adds another way that your child will actually be able to relate to the character. Boy or girl, your child will relate to Diana. Is this movie Christian friendly? The crux of the matter, right? This is why I'm posting this review. I would say yes, and I'm going to get into some spoilers here. The movie has a lot of Greek mythology. Diana is, and this is a spoiler because this is not what they say at the beginning of the movie. It's revealed later in the movie. Diana, in this version of her origin story, is the daughter of Zeus and Hippolyta. She's led to believe that she was created by Zeus, but not that she is his literal child. So for most of the movie, she doesn't know she's a demigod. But that aside, there's a lot of Greek mythology. I don't know any Christian that doesn't know about Greek mythology. But if paganism is something that bothers you, you may not want to take your child to this movie. So that aside, the movie actually has a lot of Christian allegory, despite it being heavily based in Greek mythology. But first, for the literal, before I get to Christian allegory, how Christianity is depicted in the movie. You actually see groups of men kneel down and pray in the end of the movie. And prayer is mentioned. The Christian concept of prayer is mentioned. So, in that sense, Christianity is depicted in a positive way. Now for the Christian allegory and metaphors in the movie. Zeus, early on, at the very beginning of the movie, it is the narrator, I forget who narrates the beginning of the movie, but it is said that Zeus is a father-like, Zeus is depicted as a father-like figure who created man in his image, and that Ares is his son. His son became corrupted and becomes the god of war and goes on a killing spree and kills all the other Greek gods to where it's just Zeus left. He doesn't successfully kill Zeus, but deeply wounds him. So throughout the movie, you're left wondering, where is Zeus? What is he doing? But they made a point to make sure that you knew that Zeus is alive. He's out there. Ares did not successfully kill him, so he's missing. Like in Christianity, we're waiting for the second coming of Christ. Ares is very much the Satan figure, much like Lucifer, the fallen angel. um, Ares is a fallen god because he turned on all the other gods and he turned on his father Zeus, and yeah, it's explicitly said at some point in the movie that I can't remember. It's more towards the end that Zeus. You learn at the beginning of the movie that Zeus left a god killer sword to the Amazonians. Man had enslaved the Amazonians. So Zeus created man, and he created the Amazons, and they explain all that, why he did that. And at some point, man, at the corruption of Ares, enslaves the Amazons. The Amazons revolt and escape. At the Hippolyta leads that great battle that results in their freedom. And Zeus creates this island, Themyscira, to send all the Amazons to be safe, and it's like a hidden island. Man has to. You can only find it by accident if you're human, and that's why Amazons are so long-lived. Zeus left them this god killer sword. So should Ares ever come back or make his presence known again? So Zeus does defeat Ares. Ares goes into hiding, and Ares has slowly been kind of manipulating man, and you're led to understand that Ares has been manipulating man and giving man the ideas that they need to come up with, the kind of evil, ingenuitive things that they need to come up with to kill each other, like the mustard gas. So while Ares explicitly says, while he does not explicitly order people to kill themselves, he just kind of plants seeds so that the worst parts of man come out and they kill each other and war ensues. So he's really kind of the puppet master behind World War I in the context of this movie. Not the sole puppet master, but he's very much feeding off of the chaos he's creating. And Diana's taught this, that there's this sword that's a god killer sword, the Amazons are there to protect man. That's one of the original purposes of the Amazons, that they are man's protector, and that should Ares ever return, one of them is to use a sword and go out. So the plot moves along, and she leaves Themyscira, and you find out later in the movie that Zeus, that sword is a dummy sword. That's just what Diana was told by her mother. Her mother kept from her that she is a demigod. The god killer is actually her. Zeus created Diana to be the balance. And in that sense, Diana is essentially a Christ-like figure. So man is depicted in the end. It's clear that man has both peace and war in them, light and darkness, and that people must choose the light. Very Christian concept. And another theme in the movie is that love means sacrifice, and that sacrifice is love. Another Christian concept. Unlike Christ, Diana has to learn to love, learn a love for man. Our God has a love for his creation, and it's unconditional. But in the movie, the Christ-like figure, Diana, who's the savior figure left by Zeus, and that's why I say she's somewhat Christ-like, she has to learn a love for man. She has a strong conviction that they are innocent and corrupt. They're corrupted by Ares, and that they deserve her help. And then by the end of the movie, at the end of the third act, at the beginning of the last act, at the end of the second act, the beginning of the third act, that is thrown into question. She kills the wrong bad guy. She thinks she's killed Ares. She didn't. She killed a man, Anthony Houston's character, who she thought was Ares. And the war doesn't just stop. I guess she just expected people to just drop their arms and start hugging each other and singing Kumbaya. And then, so she still questions whether man deserves her kindness, her mercy, her protection. And through learning about romantic love with Steve Trevor, she learns a love for man, and she learns compassion for man, and she eventually ends up fighting the actual Ares. But she has to learn that love for man, and she overcomes being tested. But though she's naturally compassionate, she's not the most perfect example of Jesus, but she has some Christ-like qualities in this movie. I don't know if I'm doing this justice or not, but that was my analysis of it. Jesus being a literal embodiment of mercy and love, and Jesus never questions this in the Bible. It's his purpose for existing. Whereas Diana has, and Jesus is the perfect teacher for man. That's kind of turned around here, where Diana is learning from man, and while initially having the compulsion to protect them, she believes in the mission of why she was created. When tested, she faltered a little bit. She also isn't. She's not Christ-like in the sense that she's a redeemer for man. It's more like, yeah. So there are some Christ-like things in her, but also some un-Christ-like things in her that actually make for great discussion with your children. If your child can analyze that and have a healthy conversation with you about how this is different and what parts are similar and dissimilar to your faith, that would be a wonderful discussion and would give you some insight onto your child's maturity. Okay, so I'm going to go through, I reached the point in the review where I'm going to go through specific things: language, violence, sex and nudity, and then have some other things I want to mention at the end. So language and violence. The language is not foul. I think I only counted 4 obscenities, and I may be wrong. There may be more, there may be less. Just depends on what you personally consider to be an obscenity or foul language. So I think that's really mild for a PG-13 movie. And when I say mild obscenities, I mean mild. But overall, there was a general cleanliness to the dialogue. Now, as far as violence, this movie is set in World War I, so it is very violent at times, but it's not gory. You actually almost never see blood. You see wounded soldiers, but there is some strong violence, but very little blood. There's a man that falls out of a plane, for example. There's fight scenes, there's swords. Diana has a sword, the God Killer sword. Some of the imagery might be disturbing, so really you need to think about your child's maturity level and are they ready to see certain imagery. The Amazons are very well trained in combat, and they use slow-mo a lot, so the violence sometimes can be a little glorified, but it's not over the head. It's not done, it's done tastefully. There are bombs, there are grenades. I mean, it's World War I, so I mean, there are guns in the movie, so if any of that is a problem for you, then this movie is not something you want to take a preteen to, maybe just a high schooler. As far as sex and nudity, so there is some light sexual content in this movie. You get to see Chris Pine, not in full frontal, but he does cover himself, but there is some nudity. Not a lot. Some implications that characters slept with each other. Some discussion about bachelor life, married life. Good for positive or negative. There's there's not vulgar jokes, but there are some kind of innocent jokes made about body parts, male body parts. And obviously Diana is wearing a very skimpy skirt. So if that makes you uncomfortable being with your son or your daughter in the same room when it's done really tastefully, and it's not done out of, because when these things are done in a movie and it doesn't serve the plot at all, then it's just kind of an annoyance that it's there. But in this case, anytime that there was sexuality or nudity in the movie, it was done for a reason, and it fit the movie. In some cases, it was done to show just how naive and inexperienced and kind of a doughy-eyed Amazonian Diana is. And in other times, it served just as comedic relief and to cut a tense moment in the movie. And so I never felt that the sex or nudity in the movie was inappropriate for preteen aged children. But that's obviously a personal choice. I'm just giving you some context for what you can expect. So yeah, I'm not thrilled that Diana has a little skirt, but yeah, I mean, there's at one point, I mean, you can see her butt. You have to kind of be looking, but you can see her butt. So yeah, I already mentioned brief male nudity, not full frontal, but you know, you can see he's naked. He's coming out of the bath. Steve Trevor is coming out of the bath. There's a conversation in the movie where it comes up where Steve Trevor asks Diana, when they're talking about marriage, you know, what she knows about sex, and it's implied that they're in the mascara that there are couples. So it's, your child has to really like think critically about it. But so lesbianism is not addressed in the movie. I mean, it's like so fleeting. You don't see lesbians. They're not really talked about. But Diana does say at one point in the movie, you know, I read such and such treaty on the matter, and it was concluded that man is not necessary for pleasure, only necessary for reproduction. And so take that as you will. That might be something that as a Christian or as somebody that's very conservative, which I'm not, I don't consider myself overtly conservative, but if you happen to be, that line will spark a conversation between you and your child. And if you're not ready for that conversation, you should not go take your child to go see this movie. I know I'm throwing all these caveats in because at the beginning of this review I said absolutely, this movie's great. You should take your child to see this movie. But I'm just, for the benefit of those who are more conservative than me, I want to make sure that you know what to expect. And lastly, under the category of other, you do see drinking, but there's no smoking or overt drug use. Well, one of the villains takes like an enhancement to his strength. He pops a little capsule and inhales a gas, and it gives him like almost superhuman strength. But you know, yeah. So it's not a drug in the sense that it's a straight drug, but you do see the bad guy kind of rely on a substance. And obviously the villains lie, and the villains are liars, deceitful. You see the villains outright murder people. You get to see, in this movie, the effects of mustard gas in a very accurate way without... They don't show you the gore of it, and I think I covered that earlier. This movie is not gory, but overall, I think I can't really think of anything else, say a very conservative Christian person would have issues with, or even a Muslim person, a Muslim family that has doesn't drink alcohol. You do see people drinking in the movie, but it's not like in your face about it. They're not promoting drinking, and really the people who are drinking because it's World War I and life is awful, and they're just trying to survive, constantly being in crisis mode. So I want to reiterate that I think that this movie is absolutely safe to take your children to, but really it's going to depend on your child's maturity level, how much they know, or how much you think they know about sex, and how much your child knows about the biblical view on relationships between a man and a woman, because that is very much addressed here in this movie. Not overtly, not over the head, but those themes are discussed. So on so many levels, I think this movie is a great movie. I think they nailed Diana, who Diana needs to be in this movie, and in this cinematic universe of that DC's trying to build. And I think that I think that the movie does a good job of appealing to young people, adults, and the older generation, and has had a much longer relationship with Wonder Woman than we have. Wonder Woman is a character that was created back in the 1940s, so this character has been around for a honking long time. I personally supported the movie opening weekend because this is the first comic book movie to star a female lead. I do think that this movie deserves support because it is very good. And this movie, comic book movies, that are led by men, if they're bad, they don't stop making male-led comic book movies. But female-led comic book movies, if they're not good and if they're not supported, they won't make any more female-led comic book movies. They just won't. So there have been two that I can think of. Aeon Flux, well, she may not be comic book based, but she's science fiction based anyway. And Elektra, she's comic book based, and it didn't do well, and they didn't make any more. They didn't make any more female-led comic book movies until this one. So I felt strongly that I wanted to support it and just check it out. So that's it. That's my review of Wonder Woman. I hope you found this helpful in making a decision about whether or not to take your children to go see this movie. If you found this helpful, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and thank you for being part of the We Love Jones community. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.